there, everyone. I just wanted to start this off with a big disclaimer that this is my own personal experience with ADHD as a parent. Your mileage is going to vary with the information given during this talk, but being a parent is crazy as it is. Add on top of it the chaos that's going on in our own heads and possibly also in your kid's head, and it equates to a whole new level of unpredictability. So just bear in mind, this is my own personal experience. For this reason, I'll be going over my background a little bit, but I also want to emphasize that finding the right tools for you is going to be your best bet for being the best version of yourself that you can be for your family. So, to start out, I am 35 years old. I was diagnosed last May. Looking back on it and reading up about it probably for the past 5 or 6 months before my diagnosis, I'm pretty sure I've always known that I had ADHD, and I'm pretty sure I've known my entire life. My mother actually did take me to a specialist when I was about 5 years old. However, it was the early 90s. So, diagnosis for people like me was not really definitive. I ended up being diagnosed with simply dyslexia. I had a lot of trouble in school, especially with math, especially with writing, even though I would triple check my work constantly. I managed to survive, just barely, through my school up until college years. After dropping out of college, I ended up going to a technical school where the curriculum was more condensed in such a way that by the end of the school year, I was able to jump right into getting a job in the information technology field, also known as IT. The thing is that it wasn't until my kid was born that something really changed, and it pushed me past my limit. At this point, I was diagnosed with postpartum depression. The medication that they gave me helped a little bit, but I was still a complete ball of anxiety. Just pretty much overwhelmed every single day. Every little thing added on, and it was getting tough. Once she started talking and walking, it did get a little bit easier in the parenting department. But I ended up stopping taking the depression meds after about 3 years of taking them. My energy was still really low, though. And it seemed like it was getting smaller and smaller every single day, while the frustrations were just getting higher and higher and higher. By the time that my kid was 5, I was starting to feel the effects of severe anxiety. I couldn't sleep at night, except unless I was physically and mentally exhausted. I couldn't get up in the morning. It was pretty much impossible. There was nothing I could do to keep awake past 2 p.m. in the afternoon. It got to the point where I was just so tired all the time. Laundry was sky high. The dishes were all over the counters. The garbage bins in the less used rooms were just completely overstuffed. I hadn't taken a shower in a very long time. I talked to my doctor, but unfortunately, at that point in time, he kind of brushed me off, saying, "Of course you're tired. You have a 5-year-old." And I just kind of accepted that. I had no other information to counter his argument at that point. That being said, through the next year, my in-laws were over pretty much every single weekend to see the kiddo. But at that point, they were also helping me with all of the chores that had started to pile up through the weeks. Without them, I know that I absolutely would have been buried underneath a mountain of chores, and I probably would have collapsed under the weight of it all after a certain point. I was very, very lucky to have them around to help, because I honestly, I really needed the help. And I didn't realize how much I needed the help, and I deserved the help. October of last year rolled around. and unfortunately my dog passed away. At that point, my anxiety went into a complete out of control spiral. Talking to my husband, he told me that all the stuff that was kind of going through my head at that point really didn't seem like the amount of normal worry that most people and anxiety that most people experience. So I went back to my doctor again. This time, however, I brought proof with me. Through the past year, I had saved comics, YouTube channels, and basically brought with me cliff notes of the evidence that I had compiled. And believe me, it took me a really long time to work up the nerve to actually present it to him. And the whole entire time I was presenting, I was a mess. I was really nervous when I was just talking to him, just telling him all of the things that I experienced on a regular basis. He agreed that I should get tested. And then after a few months and several tests, I got the diagnosis. I had inattentive type ADHD and was possibly autistic. So now that you have the background and understand a little bit more of the specifics of some of my hurdles through life, I want to get to meat of the subject. Yes, parenting with ADHD is possible. Behavioral therapy and behavioral modification techniques alone work great for a lot of people. They even helped me for a little while there, and I still use some of the tricks and tips that behavioral therapy taught me, and other people who have been through behavioral therapy have taught me. If that's all you need, that's fantastic. Great for you. I'm really happy. For me personally, most likely because I've learned to mask very hard to survive and wasn't diagnosed until much later in life, behavioral modifications only went so far for me. It did nothing to help my energy levels either, which were just perpetually in the negative at this point. A lot of the parenting tips that I got from online friends who were also diagnosed with ADHD, ASD, or both, newer parenting books, like the newer ones printed within the last 5 or so years, and parenting forums worked great early on before I got my meds. Putting things I needed to do in a physically in my way was a great way to force myself to do the laundry, for example. I would block the hallway or the stairwell purposely with a basket of laundry so that I had to pick it up and move it and bring it down the stairs to actually get through the hallway. I tried various other things and kept changing it up to keep the chores moving along. I like organizing and categorizing things, so a lot of times I would do 2 chores at once that I purposely placed together or in close proximity in the same room. So that basically once I finished one, it was like, oh, well, this one's right here, I may as well just do it. That helped a bit. Setting timers early on for screen time for my kiddo in regards to the TV and her laptop and her tablet turned out to be great. Letting her turn off the alarms and cement some time management for both of us ended up working great. Having a specific place to put items like my wallet, my keys, when I came in the door prevented a lot of panicked, oh no, where is this, when I was getting ready to go somewhere. That also helped my time management, obviously, because I wasn't wasting time looking for the items. Telling her to get ready before I knew we had to go anywhere, like way before, like 5 or 10 minutes before. Tell her, like, brush her hair, get her shoes on. That helped a lot. Getting my kiddo to help me with some chores also helped with the chores for me, but also gave her a good feeling of like satisfaction helping me, knowing that she did something good, also cementing that like chores are a thing that need to be done. So, that'll help her later in life, hopefully. Crossing my fingers on that one, asking her things like, see how many glasses around the house you can find for me. Can you put this into the dryer for me? Put this into the dirty pile, or hang this up. You only wore it for 10 minutes today. While I was doing the laundry and things like that. That would help out a lot. While those things help to take stuff off of my plate in general, I'm still learning how to relax. I've lived past my limit for such a long time that I don't really know where it is anymore, or how to tell someone when I'm getting close. For a really long time, the only way I knew where my limit was is because suddenly everything my kiddo did started to feel overwhelming, even if she was just talking to me or just talking at me, not even talking to me, but not even talking with me, but just talking at me, because she's hyperactive, so she just will go off on a tangent about some subject. To help with that, I've designated Saturday and Sunday as like a self-care day for myself. I only do things that I absolutely need to have done on those days. Just maybe like, do I really need to do my husband's laundry for work? If I need to, then it gets done. No vacuuming, no bathroom cleaning, no mopping, nothing super intensive. Dishes, laundry, shower. That's it. Which leaves me with both time and energy to spend with my kiddo on these days. To that end, playing with her before I got my medications could be a challenge sometimes. It could be a different kind of challenge for me. Sometimes the stuff she wanted to do just wasn't stimulating for me, and it felt like a waste of time, and I felt like it was hard to engage. I know it wasn't a waste of time, of course, but my brain wants to say, you could be doing this, or you could be doing that. But because she enjoys my company, realistically, it's not a waste of time, and she's learning at the same time. So I tried to suggest things that sometimes, if I was having a hard time engaging, that I would also think would be fun to do. I like playing with Legos. I like painting. I like making cute things with Play-Doh and clay. Pretending with the stuffed animals is sometimes very entertaining, making the voices and making them, chitter-chatter and stuff. I have a stuffed hyena that one time he had a very nice tea party with my kiddo's critters one afternoon. So, that was something that was stimulating enough that it could be entertaining and, help me spend time with her, quality time with her. Once I'm engaged, at that point, I can add some things in to keep me engaged, like playing Connect 4 at the tea party, for example, or reading a book to her and her critters. Have her sit in bed and get the critters all set up and then read something. Usually this excites her too, because this is more playtime and it's stimulating for her as well. And she gets to hang out with, all of her critters, or gets to do something different that she wouldn't normally get to do, that I may not have time to do during the week. So overall, I think probably the best thing I did was teach her to compromise. And just teach her to be honest, even if it's really hard for both of us to do that sometimes. She loves helping me. She loves making shopping lists. She doesn't mind helping me clean. She actually cleans up her plates and things like that off of the table, which helps me a lot. It means we're both getting things done. She's learning to be responsible, and it's a couple less things off of my plate. Then she can do something that she wants to do. I had her clean off the table in the living room once at one point because she had Legos all over. And I explained that I needed space to set up the Christmas tree. And I know she wants to decorate it. So I told her, if you clean up the Legos, we have room to set up the tree. And you can decorate it. You can help me decorate it. And that honesty helped her be motivated to do what she needed to do, and understand why she needed to do it. I think that's probably the biggest thing and one of our biggest advantages, to be honest. There are, of course, times where she's upset and I don't understand why. I mean, it's pretty normal parent stuff sometimes. But there are times where she can't explain it. Or it's hard or it's frustrating for her to try and explain, or it's hard or it's frustrating for me to try and understand. If I start to feel too frustrated, I'll tell her, you know what, I'll be right back. Um, you know, I will figure this out. I will find either some kind of compromise, or we can talk it out once we've both had some time to think about it. And then I leave her alone for a little bit. It gives me time to think of a better solution or think of a better way to handle a situation, a better way to explain something. And it gives her time to think alone about how she's feeling, how she could have done something better, how she could have phrased something better. Sometimes I will grab a stuffed animal I know she likes, and I'll come back with it, the aforementioned hyena, and make some noises, see if I can get her to giggle, kind of thing. You know, at that point, if I can get her to laugh, usually that's when I start asking the question a different way. Instead of, why are you mad? I might try, like, did something upset you? Did something surprise you? Did something scare you? And usually one of those angles will lead to a more complete explanation that either I can then console her or I can explain. It's not always a solution, but it helps get to one sometimes. Flexibility and adaptability is probably one of my biggest strengths personally that I get from my ADHD. And I try to use it to my advantage when I can, to try and solve problems, to try and see things from a different angle, to try and see things from her angle too. In the end, it's really the tiny little victories that can both help us feel better at the end of the week, at the end of the day, whatever is going on. I get high fives for doing chores and, helping her with her Legos. She gets them from me for cleaning up her messes, helping me with some of the chores, and finishing her schoolwork. Sometimes the little rewards we give each other help motivate us more than either of us realize at that point in time. Every little interaction adds up to more experience, how to handle things better, learning better ways to communicate, learning where to compromise, and learning where to firmly explain what's going on and say, this is why we can't do this right now, or this is why you can't do this right now. Just being honest, and honestly sometimes just when to be there for her, when to back off and just let her hang out for a little bit and then talk about it after a while. So I hope that this maybe helped some of you that might think about being potential parents at some point. It is possible. There are ways to do it. I would be more than happy to answer any questions for you. Again, I am not an expert by any means, but, if I can provide some insight, or if I can give you an idea that maybe you hadn't thought of previously, then, it's worth a shot, right? We just want to be the best parents we can for our kids. So, yeah. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the rest of the speakers.